friends are having a great time. It's not face to face, it's all online. We're all in our homes, miles away. Love them like my family, what can I say? My crafting show is on, it's my time for me. Laughter, tips and tricks, this is what I need. We're here to have fun, we're all in the zone. When crafting with friends, you're never alone. Don't call or text me, it's about to begin. I've been patient, time for me to chime in. Comfy clothes on, feeling just fine. I'm busy right now, it's crafting show time. My crafting show is on, it's my time for me. Laughter, tips and tricks, this is what I need. We're here to have fun, we're all in the zone. When crafting with friends, you're never alone. The host came on, they are truly a gem. Here for the show and to chat with my friends. Chat with each other about this and that. We share ideas, wisdom, and other fun facts. My crafting show is on, it's my time for me. Laughter, tips, and tricks, this is what...
Live from the Sunshine State in Miami, Florida, here is the Gifted Crafters Morning Show with Nancy.
Let's have a good time. Ooh, time to get our craft on. Ooh, time to have fun. Ooh, time to feel good.
Good morning, Gifted Crafters, and welcome to the Gifted Crafters Morning Show. Hey there, out there. I see lots of people from San Antonio, Texas. We've got Maryland. Oh boy, hot Texas. We've got Miami out there, Pennsylvania. Wonderful. Okay, I see people tuning in from all over, and good morning to you all. Good morning, good morning. Yes, we're here for another fun-filled day. So I'm feeling a little better today. I think yesterday I was really kind of tired. We were kind of in the competition, so we were out in the sun over the weekend, and man, that sun just really drains you. So I was really struggling yesterday to kind of keep it together and finish up my day. I think I needed a really good night's sleep, and so got that, and so I'm feeling much better this morning. Hello. Hey, Becky. Hey, Annette. How are you? Awesome. Oh, no, Annette. Hope you feel better. She got COVID for the first time. Oh, your mom. Oh, so sorry to hear that. Hope she's feeling better, and I hope that you're feeling better, too. Oh, gosh. Hey, Sue. I see Robin. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Good morning, steamy Maryland. Yeah, we've got weather like all over the place. It's going crazy. I'm kind of here from Miami, Florida, and yeah, it's pretty hot down here. So, you know, I, of course, got my little drink, and I hope you guys got that too. So if you haven't, go ahead. And, you know, we're about to start our little hour of just crafting. So grab that favorite drink and get it ready so that you can get yourself nice and cozy. Alrighty, yes. You get your book today. Oh, awesome, Batita. Awesome. That's great. Okay. Alrighty. I think the chat is starting to settle a little bit, so we've got everybody tuning in from all over the place. And once again, good morning. Now, if you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Nancy with GiftsHQ, and these are just daily morning sessions that we have to just do things crafty. Sometimes we do demos. Sometimes we just sew a little project or do a little embroidery or, any type of other craft because we like them all. So this is the perfect place if you got a little Etsy shop or a little craft fair, or if you're just looking for a quick little gift, this is the perfect place to do that and chat amongst a wonderful community that we have. So feel free to drop into the chat and say hello to a couple of folks that we have out there. Alrighty, so first off, go ahead, grab your mug, and let's see. We're not doing food truck today, but because we're going to do a little bit of exercise and get our little food cart going. Okay, so we've got our food cart coming along. We are doing our little exercise, and yes, here we are. It's got the same stuff that the food truck has. It's just compact into the little food stand, right? So we've got our coffee, donuts, bagels, all kinds of things, goodies that you'd like in the morning. And just feel free to take anything you'd like. It's all calorie free. And I think some people have some requests out there with bacon and eggs. Awesome. So definitely, we have all of that stuff too. Anything that you want, you can get it off of a little food stand. So, alrighty, I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, iced coffee is what you'd like, Robin. So I'm going to go ahead. I start off with my water every day. I'm still getting through it. So let me grab some of that because, yeah, it is pretty hot out here. Okay, so what do we have for today? So let's recap a little bit because I was a little rushed towards the end. I didn't get to really show you guys everything. So again, yesterday we finished off the Pumpkin Hill, and some of you guys are getting the book today. So with Pumpkin Hill, you'll see the two little pictures up on the top corner. That's what we used over for our wall hanging. So we didn't do the entire quilt. We just took one portion of it and we made it into a wall hanging, and you can do that with any of these pieces down here. So I thought that was pretty cute. I just picked the two simplest ones to kind of demonstrate the two methods that they show you on the book, which is the needle turn applique and the spray starch applique. And it's two different appliques method. You end up with the same thing. One of them is a little more beginner friendly than the other, and we kind of tested that out. And so, it was a lot of fun. And let me just show you what we ended up with. We had a little issue with the scan and cut yesterday because it didn't cut the fabric all the way through. So I had to kind of go around with my scissors and just kind of cut it out a little bit. But then once I did that, it was fine. And then I went ahead. We had put heat and bond on the back of the fabric. And so we went ahead and we ironed it on. So we just added a little pop of color. I think it gives it a little bit of something to it, because, it really was kind of dark, and even though it has this cream colored here, it needed something a little bit lighter to kind of pop. So I really like the fabric choice that we did, and I think it's just a nice little addition to it here. And then for the borders, of course, I kind of mixed up the fabrics. So you'll see the fabrics that were used for the acorns and for the toppers are also used for the borders. And then I did a simple binding on the back. So that was pretty much it. We did quilt the front panel on here, and then because we did the needle turn applique and the spray starch, you'll see that in the back there's nothing. You don't see any of the threads coming out from any of the pieces that we appliqued in the front. So that was pretty neat how you could do that. And I was kind of tempted to kind of like fill the back up with something else, right? Because you can have it kind of double-sided. So I thought that may be a cool thing to do, but I'm going to leave it blank for right now. And then I also added some tabs in the top just to kind of, make this so that you can hang it. So you can slide maybe a little dowel or something and then just hang it on the top. So it just made it a little bit easier. So let's see. So this is what we ended up with. So when I was showing it yesterday, on the scan and cut, you do have for the letters that we were doing here, you do have to mirror it, and then I grouped it. And then we went ahead and we cut it with the heat and bond with the fabric facing down. And you do have to mirror it because the fabric's facing down. The day before I had done it without heat and bond, and I was just kind of cutting it to test it with the fabric facing up. So I did not mirror it that time. So this time you did. So I got a little confused on that, but you guys caught me and you helped me out. So thank you. So yeah, it came out pretty cute. Not bad. I like it. And so we're going to kind of move on to our next little project now. And this is kind of like a little need that I have. As you guys know, I do have some parakeets. And so I like to make them little rope bowls. And some of you who's followed me for a long time now know that I've made them before. I've embroidered on them as well. But I really use them a lot. And I'm at the point now that I really need to get some new ones. So I thought, you know what, why don't you guys come along and make them with me? And I thought those will be really cute to make. And so we'll make some of those. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and get to our crafting news, because I've got a couple of things to share on that one. Alrighty, so are we ready for that one? Awesome. Okay, so let's just head up north over to Michigan for this one. And we're going to talk about someone by the name of Larry Culp. And he learned to sew from his mom when he was a kid, and he's now in retirement. So he's taken his childhood skills that he learned and he combined it with his talent for mechanics. You see where we're going with this, right? So Larry works with antique sewing and knitting machines. Some of them are over 100 years old. And he doesn't just collect them, he fixes them up so they can still be used. And from the machines that make socks to the ones that stitch leather, and some of them even stitch fur. He knows all of them, and one of his favorites is the sock knitting machine from the 1920s. And the kids just love to watch him in action. So he has a little shop that's called the Knit and Stitch. It's located in the Antique Village at the UP State Fairgrounds. And visitors can see these machines all up and close. And Larry doesn't just fix them, he also teaches too, which is pretty amazing. Him and his fellow guild members hold sewing classes to pass on the hands-on skills to the younger generation. And Larry says that today's machines may be fancier, but the older ones were built to do one job and do it well. So thanks to his passion, they're not just only just running again, but they're also inspiring others to take on those skills as well. So I thought that was pretty amazing. I'm pretty cool that you've got machines over 100 years old and he's fixing and using today. I think that's pretty cool. Okay, so we're gonna head on over to Crystal Lake, Illinois, and we've got a group of women that have been changing lives. They've got a service league of Crystal Lake, which is dated way back from 1925 and started as a small sewing circle. Now, there are 4 women who gathered to help a neighbor that was in need, and that simple act of kindness sparked something really amazing. So today, this all-volunteer group is still going strong, and they've got 45 hands-on helpers that are still carrying the torch, and they continue to support local families with food, clothes, scholarships, and even emergency help after fires or personal losses. They are celebrating their 100th anniversary this year with fun events. They're having a tree planting, a special centennial quilt that was made by one of their members, and they're going to have a full circle moment because they're also donating an antique sewing machine that is there to honor their stitching roots. So that's pretty amazing. Now, last year they helped over 230 families, and get this, they gave out over $100,000 in scholarships, all with just a single paid staff member. And that, if that's not community, I mean, gosh, that's really amazing that they can do that to help so many lives out and just doing something that they really love. I think it's really passionate. I think that's really an awesome thing that they do. So I wanted to kind of bring those stories to you because I thought that's pretty amazing. Alrighty. So let's see here. We've got a few things to talk about. So yes, my birdies, some parakeets. Yes, I have quite a few, and they all have names and they all have different personalities. That's a total of 21, but they are amazing, and they a little demanding sometimes. But usually when we feed them, because there's a lot of them, we don't like them to fight. So we kind of spread out the food in different places. That way they kind of scatter and they kind of go wherever they like to eat. And so what I usually do is we have the regular stations where the food is, but I also make these little, they're rope bowls. I call them rope coasters. I don't know. I try to keep them flat as possible, and then we just kind of put the food on top, and the birdies come and, you know, get their food. And I like it because it is made with 100% cotton, so it doesn't hurt their little feet or anything, and it's, you know, it's perfect for them. So, made a couple here, and I like kind of this size, maybe go a little bit smaller. You know, I'm fine with this one, but these serve as some really nice coasters as well. And I couldn't for the life of me find, I probably gave it away, but I don't remember. I've made these before, and we did some embroidery right on top. It came out beautiful. And so you could use these as a quick little gift. And I like to kind of end it with like a little loop here, but you can end it in all kinds of different ways. So I do a little loop, but they're super, super easy to make. And I'll show you what I used for that. This is, I have a big one because I do a lot of them throughout the year. So this I got from Amazon. It's just 100% cotton, and it's just the cord. So it's really easy for me to just kind of make them. And so I just kind of put them to the side, and we're going to make one today, which will be a lot of fun. They do sell them in different colors as well. If you wanted to get different colors, I have one here that's kind of a little pinkish. And this was one that I did, but I used it with some white thread. So you'll see some little bit of white going around here. And I just kind of use them to, you know, put their stuff down. But you can use them as coasters. You can embroider on them, or you can do some heat transfer vinyl and put little initials on them or something like that. Or you can continue to make them larger and just make them into a big bowl or bag or something like that. So these are, you know, very easy to make, and we're going to make one together. So let's just set these over to the side. Now, I'm not going to be using this one because I'm going to do it in white. But again, you can get them in different colors. But my recommendation would be that if you do decide to do this in a different color, make sure that you have thread that's matching it, unless you do want it to show like this, where you have the white thread showing through. So depending on your style, this one was with white thread with this pink cord. And then this one was just the plain white cotton with the white thread. So you could barely see the actual zigzag stitches that are going on here. So, you know, it's a matter of preference on how you want to do it. There's all kinds of other things that you can do. Grab some fabric, wrap it around, make different colors pop. You can twist some around. It makes it, this one's a little bit more advanced if you kind of take the two and kind of do 2 yarns like this and kind of just go ahead and stitch those together to kind of create that different look. So there's a ton of things. There's just so many things that you can do with this. I can just go on and on with different things that you can do. We're going to stick with something really simple, just because I have to get some out to the birdies, because the ones that they've already destroyed. And so I think they're ready for some new ones. So let's get to that. I'm going to move these over to the side. And I'm going to grab my machine and drag that over. So give me 1 second. Okay. Alrighty. So one thing that you want to do is set it to a zigzag stitch. Yeah, let me just make that. I think we're going to be turning on the sew cam. And I've got a decent amount of bobbin that should be okay for this project. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start this off. Now, it's pretty easy to start off. There's different ways of doing it. One thing I like to do is kind of just go to your source and kind of unravel quite a few pieces, because what ends up happening, you get so into the rope bowl that then you end up getting to the point that you're right on here and you have to kind of tug it, and then that kind of interrupts your project a little bit. So just unravel it a little bit, have some to the side so it's nice and loose as you start. But what you're going to do is just going to take the end here of the cord and you're just going to turn it. Now there's different ways. If you want to start off with a little curve like this is the one that I'm doing. But there's other ways that you can do it too, where you start off with a longer loop. And so it ends up starting to look something like this. And so you get a longer, kind of an oval type thing, and you can kind of stretch it out however you want. So depending on what you're making, you can get that oval type of a bowl, or you can just get the circle. Now, mine are going to be flat. I'm not going to make it into a bowl, but I will tell you what you need to do in order to kind of tilt it and make it a bowl, because I've done it both ways. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the tip and you're just going to grab the little tip with your finger and just turn it. And then hold on to it and turn it again. Hold on to it and turn it again. And that makes just that little bit of a circle. And I'll do that again so you guys can see it. I'll try to go a little higher. So we've got the end. I'm grabbing it with my 2 fingers and I'm turning it. Grab it with my 2 fingers on my other side. And then I turn it back again. So you're just flip-flopping between your 2 hands and turning it. And then you just kind of turn it back. And so you can continue that just till you get a decent amount. So I'm just turning, grab it this way, turn, grab it this way. And so I've got a decent amount here. I don't want to go too big, because what you have to do is kind of set it. So I'm going to put this down here on my sewing table right here. Let me just adjust these legs. They were not down. And I'm going to just bring this over to my sew cam now, if we can bring this over to my sewing foot. And the first thing you need to do is you need to kind of cinch this bottom piece. So we're going to use our zigzag foot and we're going to go across here. And you can do it several times if you like. You can just do it once in the middle, or you can do 3 times or 2 times. However you want to do it, just to kind of secure it in place. So I'm just going to make sure it's nice and tight here. And I'm going to go right underneath the presser foot, and I'm just going to kind of put this underneath and then lower my presser foot here. I'm somewhat in the middle, and that's totally fine. Now I'm going to just adjust. I'm using the zigzag stitch, And I have about 3.5 width, and I'm gonna change my stitch length to be about, let's do 1.6. So it's pretty tight because it is a kind of a construction stitch that I want to keep it together, but I want the zigzag to be wide enough so that it can really hold both sides of the yarn, right? You want it to pick up the yarn that you're feeding, but you also want it to pick up the yarn that's already in the circle so that it tightens it and keeps it together. So first step is just going way across and anchoring all of this down. So I'm going to go ahead and put my needle down, and then I'm going to go ahead and zigzag this. Now, one thing that you can also use, if you have a little stiletto, you can go ahead and take that out. I tend to get my fingers pretty close, but I don't want to get that close. So if you want to use your stiletto, you may need to kind of help it along. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, but just have it handy just in case. And then that's it. I'm going to go ahead and lift up my needle. And I will do it one more time, but I like to turn it and kind of do it the other way. So it's almost like doing a little cross, like a little crosshair, just to get it started. So sometimes you just got to be careful. The starting it off is probably the hardest part. And so you'll want to have the little stiletto handy to help it along. Once you have this base part, the rest, I can tell you, gets really easy. So you'll cut this off, and you're going to have a lot of little threads to cut off. I like to cut it off right in the beginning because that kind of helps and it gets it out of the way. So the beginning will have a lot of threads because you just did that little crosshair. So go ahead and cut those threads off. And let me just grab that. And then, the beginning, it doesn't look like much. It's not very much, but it will start to build, and you'll start to see it come together. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set this up here. And I'm going to set my foot. I'm going to kind of focus on this, doing a zigzag. So I'm going to focus on the center because it's going to be going back and forth. And I just want it to pick up this piece right here that is already in the circle. And then I want it to pick up the yarn that I am feeding in here. So it's going to be zigging and zagging and attaching these two together. So this is how I do it. There's probably like a ton of different ways to do it, but I like to kind of do it this way. I like to follow how the machine is going to feed it. So you know that the feed dogs are going to pull the fabric towards the back. So I kind of just like to line it up. I kind of flipped it over because I want to be able to feed it this way. So just kind of set it the way you're comfortable with, and then go ahead and set your machine down. And then you're going to try to stay in that center. So it's a little off because it's kind of leaning towards one side. So I'm going to just kind of pick it up and adjust it just a tad. I don't want it to lean all that much. That looks a little better. Okay, and then we're just going to go ahead and start to sew. And I'm just going to be feeding this rope with my hand here, making sure I have a lot of slack on the side. And here we go. You can start off slow. And what you're doing with your hands right here is I'm kind of pushing it along to turn. As it gets bigger, it becomes a lot easier. Okay. In the beginning, you do have to kind of just push it with your fingers and get it to turn. And then you're going to want to pick up your presser foot and just kind of adjust it. Make sure that it's in place, staying in the center, and that it's grabbing both pieces. And then I'll pick it up again, adjust it a little more so I'm a little more centered, and then just keep going. Once again, pick it up again, adjust. And if you miss a stitch, don't worry about it, because you can always go back and and fix that. It's very, very easy to fix. So don't worry about it if you missed. If you got offline and you missed one, don't even worry about it. Now, as you start to go, you see how now it's kind of turning on its own. So I'm kind of holding it back here and I'm letting it turn on its own. I'm just holding it down. That's all I'm doing. And see how my finger is moving from the back to the front. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just putting the pressure down here and it's just moving it forward. And so you'll see here, it's kind of doing its own thing. And so it's just keeping the pressure there. You can do it slow in the beginning, and then as you gain more confidence, just go ahead and you can start to get a little faster. But in the beginning, I'd recommend you kind of go a little slow and just keep your eye right here. You're not looking at any of this other stuff that's going on. You're focusing on this piece right here, making sure that the rope you're feeding and the rope that's already turned in are right in the middle. So this is my middle mark. I want to make sure I'm right in the middle because I'm zigging and zagging between the two. Now, just try to keep that in the center. Sometimes you may go off a little bit, and that's okay. You can jump right back on. But this is really easy to kind of fix, so don't worry about that. So let's keep going here. And you notice that I have this finger right here up against this yarn because I'm kind of pushing it together as it feeds. So you'll want to do that as well. So just keep your eye on that. And then you just kind of keep going and feeding into it. And you see how my fingers are just kind of walking with the fabric? So I'm just feeding it, and I'm just going to continue going on and on. And that's basically it. All you have to do is just keep repeating and just have it keep going, and you make it as big as you like. I mean, it's totally up to you how big you want it to be, but for the base, you gotta have a decent base if you want to do the actual rope bowl. So let's take a pause here, and you can see we've already got this so far. Now, if I wanted to make a bowl, after I've gotten my base down pat, if I wanted to make a bowl, I would start to tilt this, and this will start to do a little curve. And I can try to do it at the end just to give you guys a little bit of an idea. But I like to make sure, and I think this is why it's important in the beginning, this base piece, you want to keep it nice and flat. So kind of keep your hand down, because if you curve just a little bit, you're going to start to build the walls of your bowl. And since I'm not doing this, I'm just using it as a coaster, I want it to remain flat. So make sure that this stays nice and flat here. And then we'll just continue on, and we've got, you know, all these rows to do. So you just continue holding it down with your hand and feeding this yarn and making sure that you are in that center spot. So you can see that your needle is going, you know, zigging and zagging. So make sure the zig and the zag are picking up the yarn. That's as best as I can tell you. All right, so let's just go a little further. Also check to make sure that you have enough slack, because you don't want that you run out of slack, and so you end up having to kind of pull this. And this one's pretty heavy because it does carry a ton of yarn. I did pick this up on Amazon if you guys are interested. But this, you want to make sure it's nice and loose, because what could happen is as you're sewing, if you kind of run out of that slack and you got that little tug that you have, it can kind of throw you off because it'll pull on it a little bit. So just keep your eye out, you know, give yourself a little bit of slack, make sure that it's nice and loose here on the side, and then you just kind of keep building it. All right, so let's continue with our little coaster slash bird food plate for them, right? Let's see. Oh, Joyce says my attempt at a bowl was a failure. Oh no, Joyce, try it again. Try it again, because it's a lot of fun. You just have to really, it takes a little bit of practice, but once you get that center part down pat, then you just kind of continue to go through this, and it's, you know, it's pretty good. And you can kind of tug here, on the sides here a little bit. Like if I had missed, something here and I tugged it, I would have seen it open, but it looks like I kind of nailed them, so don't see any holes in my little bowl here. But if you do, you just go back and zigzag right over it, so no worries there. All right, so let's continue on. I'm going to grab my rope here, get that ready to go, and here we are. So let me know if you guys have tried it, if you've done any of the rope bowls. I've done them before, but I've done them with embroidery, and I just embroider this right on top. So basically what I have done in the past is I'll just take my little coaster on here and I'll put it on a hoop and I'll float it on top. So I'll use some basting spray to keep it anchored down, and some pins on the side, and then I pick a little design and I embroider right on top here. Comes out pretty nice. This is done. This is 100% cotton yarn, and I got this from Amazon. You can use the macrame yarn. It's a little rougher though, so I prefer the 100% cotton. You can also get it in a polyester. This one's 100% cotton as well, but I use that because of the birds. I like them to have it nice and natural fiber, but they also sell it in polyester. I've seen it in all different colors. You can get all the different colors there, but I think working with the cotton to me is really nice. There are different variations of it, because I've seen some where the bowl is actually a little bit stiffer than some others. This one is not as stiff, and just because of what I use it for, I don't want it to be really stiff. I like it to be a little bit soft for their little feet to go on here, because they kind of like to play with this afterwards. So yeah, definitely. Is it linked below? Yeah, I think it's linked below, I believe. Yeah, we do have the link below. It is on there, and it's a pretty huge roll here, and it's lasted a while, and I do use it a lot because I do make a lot of these rope bowls for them. So it's in our Amazon shop. If you're interested, you can find it there. So it is a pretty good deal for the amount of yarn that you get. And then I've got a smaller roll that I got as well. This one's in there as well. This is just one of the colors. They've got many colors in there. This was just the one that I picked. I got this one as a little bit smaller because I like this, just the white one. I can do so many things with this, and I can just use my white thread, and it works out just fine. Yeah, cotton is good if you're making it for a hot pad. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's continue on. I'm going to keep sewing away here. Let's make this a little bigger. And so at this point, let me see, I'm going to throw myself off on purpose so you guys can see this. Let me make sure I'm not. And then I'm going to come back. Okay, so one thing I want to show you guys, and let me just take this off. Let's see. Well, I should have went off a little bit more. Let me try to, I want to show you how to fix a mistake. So let me try to sew. I'm going to leave a little gap here, and I'm going to sew here so you guys can see that. Okay. So let's say you were sewing along and you got distracted and you were off just a little bit. where did it go? Here it is. If I pull on these, you'll see a little bit of a gap. Do you guys see that? So that's because your zig and zag missed. So I purposely kind of went off so you can see my zigzagging was fine here, and then I kind of reared off this way so you can get that gap. So this is what I'm talking about. That can happen if you get distracted and you get off that center, but it's easily fixable, right? So all I will have to do now, and I'm going to go ahead and cut these threads off because they'll drive me nuts. I like to kind of have it as a clean little piece. So if that happens, it's totally okay. Here's my gap. And I see right here is where I ended up being just fine. So I'm just going to line this right back up. And then I'm just going to go right over it. And that's it. Let me take it off so you guys can see it. So you can see now, if I pull on it, now it's good. So it sewed, you know, I fixed that little mistake. And I think I actually did do it back here. So now I have another one to fix. So let's go back here and do that. And you can do this at any time. Like you can kind of wait until the end after you're done with your project to kind of make the little fixes. And you just tug on it to see if you have any holes. And if you do, just go ahead and do the zigzag. If not, you can wait until the end to do it. It doesn't, you know, you don't have to do it right away. You can wait until the very end of your project to get it done. But I do warn you, if you make this too large, like if you're making a bowl, it's going to be a little harder to fix because you got to kind of adjust it and get it into the machine. So, you know, if you want, just kind of check as you go along, or, you know, just kind of deal with it at the end. So I'm going to line this back up again. Once again, I've got my loose rope here. I've got the rope that's already sewed into the little circle. So I have my center of my foot. I'm going to put this right on that center, and I'm going to put my foot down. My machine is set at a zigzag stitch, so I am zigging and zagging, and as it does that, it will pick up the two sides together and it will sew them together. So when you're doing that, I'm just holding it flat down and I'm just letting the machine do all the work. Okay, so just kind of put your finger to feed your yarn together and just let it do the work. Let the feed dogs pull the yarn and it'll continue to circle. And you can see I'm only holding this center right here. Right, I'm only holding with one finger right here, and I'm just allowing this to just continue to turn. And you can just do it that way as well. And if you get off a little bit, just lift up the presser foot and readjust. Okay, and then you're just feeding it. So one hand is holding on to the yarn that's coming in and allowing it to feed, and the second one is just kind of, I like to move my fingers around and just let the feed dogs take in the yarn, and it'll naturally just curve. And you can just kind of go faster and faster as you want, or you can do it slow, whatever is your comfortable skill set. And so I got a little bit off here, so I'm just gonna go back here, readjust, and let it go. Okay. Let's go just a little bit. I tend to like to sew fast. And when I sew slow, sometimes I get off a little bit because I'm just used to the speed of the machine. So you see here, I was off just a tad, so I probably have a little gap there. So I'm going to just adjust here and go back. And I'll fix that gap later. I'll come back to it. So zigging and zagging, you know, check the width that you're doing on your machine and make sure that you're feeding in the center. Now you just kind of check how big do you want to have your project. It's about a decent size. So we can probably just do a little bit more, and then we'll end it. I'll probably just use this slack, and then I'll show you how to end it here. Okay, a little bit more. Oops, a little off there. The other thing that you can do once you get more confident, if you wanted to try a thread color that's different from the color of your yarn, you will be able to see the stitches, but it can add a really nice effect. So that's another option that you have with this. And there we go. Let's see, I'm gonna pause there. I'm gonna kind of inspect to see if there's anything. I thought I had a place where I had to fix, but I guess not. I think we're good. And so you continue to kind of see it's flat. Now, let me adjust a little bit here. What I want to do now, and now this is flat, I'm going to go ahead and finish this one off, and then I'll try to do another small one so you can see one with a curve. So I'm going to go ahead and look at my rope here, and I'm going to just adjust maybe about this much of a length, not much, and I'm just going to finish it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece off. So grab some scissors. We're going to just cut off the yarn, end it there. And so I'm going to wrap this around. What stitch length am I using? So the width is 3.5 and the length is 1.6. So you do want to have it as a tight stitch because it is considered a construction stitch, but I also want the width to be wide enough to be able to pick up the zig and the zag. Oh, you've been wanting to learn how to do this? Yeah, it's a lot of fun, Crafty Puerto Rican. You're going to love it. It's really a lot of fun. You can make so many things with this. So it's really fun. So now from here, I just kind of measure, okay, this is where I'm going to end up. And so I don't want to, you can just end it like that and just, finish it, just by putting the yarn like this and just sewing it and ending it like that. But it will leave that fray. So what I like to do is kind of loop it onto itself, and I'll create that little loop. So that's how I get the little loop here on the side. See that? So you just kind of end it that way so that the fraying stays inside and there's no fray on the outside. Although my birds will tell you otherwise because they will pick at this until the fray comes out. They entertain themselves with this. It's too funny. So let's just go a little further. So I'm wrapping this around just to give myself an idea of where I'm going to be ending, which is about towards the back of this. So let's just continue to finish this off. So let's go ahead and grab this. Just continue to stay in that center and let the machine do all of the work. Okay, we're getting towards the end here. So here we are at the end. And so again, I'm just going to wrap this underneath, and I just kind of play with the fray here. Put it underneath, and I'm going to squish it right on. So when it gets to this point, it is picking up all 3 layers. And so you may want to squish this as much as you can and try to keep that fray down so it stays nice and together. And then we'll finish it off. This is where now you can grab your little stiletto, kind of lay down the little fray pieces, and just keep that all together now. And so you're really just grabbing that piece. And so now you're going to have your little loop hanging off to the side. And so we'll just finish that off. And then I'll lift up my needle, raise my presser foot, and pull this out. Now is when you have to kind of play with the fray. You have to see, did it pick it all up? There's some that it did not, because you've got to twist it. So just go ahead and twist this over. Play with that fray. Just decide how you want to finish this, because it could get, you know, a little messy because it's frayed. So I may just cinch it just a tad more. And I'll push that back in. And now I'm going to zig and zag a little bit more closer to this side. There we go. And then I'm going to do it one more time just to really cinch it. And I'm going to grab this end here because I want this to be closed as well. So you're basically closing this side here, and then you're closing this side here. And you're just sealing it so that it doesn't unravel. I'll just start back here, pushing it in with my finger as it feeds in. And then you just kind of stop. You don't want to, you know, sew up the loop. But once you have that in place, you just lift it up and it's nice and secure. And so it'll stay in place. So now go ahead and let's cut all these little threads. There's my little snip here. And you see how easy it is. It really takes no time at all. And my birds love it. So, and these are great little coasters to have around the house as well. So if you've got, you know, some furniture and some stuff where people usually put their little glasses and stuff, then you can kind of put these around, and then the cotton will absorb, you know, the cup, the little steamy stuff, little drips that come out of the cup. So it's really quick, really easy, simple to do. Okay. And I'm going to show you now, if you want to kind of make this into a bowl, what you would do is just kind of tilt it a little bit. Yeah, you can embroider an anchor on it for Christmas. Exactly. And I actually did that, I think it was sometime last year when we originally made these, and we embroidered some Christmas leaves and things like that. So it made it very Christmassy. And we just kind of added that. And then you can add a little bit of red fabric to it to give it a little pop of color as well. So that's why I kind of like this big white cotton yarn, because it makes it really easy to kind of do different things with it. Where if you have it with the color already, it makes it a little bit harder, but it can be done. So this is something that you can do, and then you can just easily make it into a bowl just by tilting it. So let's see if I can do that really quick. Yeah, Leslie, Becky's doing the inside rope bowl, but she's doing it as a kit. These that I've done these just for my birds. But we're just gonna start a new one here really quickly so I can just show you what the bowl would look like. Let me just grab this. Whoop. Grab my other piece here. There we go. And she's using it as a kit, and she followed the instructions and kind of did her own. But I like to kind of just make these for my little birdies, and they enjoy it. So they're just so easy to make. But you definitely can embroider. And the one that Becky did, she embroidered the piece first and then built the bowl out around it. Mine doesn't have that embroidery piece on the bottom. I just embroidered right on the cotton itself. So it's a little bit different, but you can get similar effects. Okay. So for this one, I'm just doing it really quick, just so I could show you what it looks like when you're tilting it. I'm kind of rushing through this one here. But you can see here, you can do these in no time at all. A little off there, but you see how quickly you can just spiral these into place. So I'm just going to get it a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to show you the curve. And then I'm going to need more slack for that. Okay. So here we are. It's going a little bit bigger. Again, just trying to stay in that center. My fingers are doing all the walking, and the feet dogs are pretty much doing all of the work. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start curving it because we're running a little low on the time. So right now it's completely flat. All I am going to do is lift it. Let me see if you guys can see that a little bit there. So I'm going to just lift this just a little bit and continue to let it, the feet dogs, pull it through. I'm just angling it just slightly to start that curve. And so I'll just angle it here and continue to feed. Just continue to try to stay in that center. And just kind of walk through it with your fingers. So you see you're starting to have a little bit of a curve, and I'll pull it out in just a second so you guys can see it better. And I'm just feeding it through, and I'm letting the yarn kind of go through my two fingers here as I guide it together. Just continue to rotate it. Okay, I'm going to stop right there so I can show you guys. And I guess this camera is probably the best to show it. Yeah, let's keep it here. So you can start to see how this is now lifted off. It is not flat. It's now lifted off and has that bit of a curve. Let me see if you can see that a little better. There you go. So you see that curve that it's already taken. And so it's a little, I guess you can see maybe with this. You can see this kind of standing straight up, and it's got a little bit of a curve to it. Let me show on the big camera. Let's see if this is a little better. So you can see here, that shows it. You can kind of see the curve there that's going on. So that's how you would get the curve, and then you would just continue to keep going, and you would build up that bowl. So yeah, you can see that it starts to curve. Yeah, exactly. And so you just continue to go on, and you can use cotton, macrame cord, you know. Can you mention the name? It's actually, it's down in my link. I don't recall the name of it, but it's down. The links are below. You should be able to see. Just click on the link and it'll take you right to it. It's in my store. You should be able to find the name. But it is just 100% cotton on here. And so that's how you would get the curve on here. So, alrighty, guys, we are out of time. And so I know that Becky has a nice little set for us. So let's go ahead and show her a little bit of support. Thank you guys all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's little session, and I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope to be crafting with you soon. Bye, everyone.
So long for now, so long. Glad you stayed a while. Hope you liked my crafting style. Hope I left you with a smile. By now, keep your mind and space clutter-free. Hope your day is bright as can be. So long, my friend. once again. Bye now, stay crafting. See you tomorrow. So long, my friends, till we craft once again.